Hey guys, Aaron again here with the Duke. Hey, we're going to be talking a little bit about running backs again today. I got a running back here that I specifically, I really like targeting in my drafts if he's still there in that second round. That running back's going to be Austin Ekeler with the LA Chargers. I kind of see him, I think people have mixed feelings about him this season. We don't know, are we still going to get the same amount of numbers as last year from him and Melvin Gordon from the years before? Or is that LA Chargers offense going to take a step back without Phillip Rivers? I kind of find that funny because most people dislike Phillip Rivers and think that he wasn't that good, but then when he leaves, people don't want to draft anybody from that team. So let's dive into the numbers a little bit. Hey, we'll take a look here at Austin Ekeler, see what we can find, and see where we see him going off the boards this year and what he could possibly produce as that lead back with the LA Chargers. All right, so, last year he finished running back number 6, and, the first 4 weeks of that 2019 season, he was the lead back for the Chargers, all right? Melvin Gordon was doing his holdout for his paycheck, and he didn't come back until week 5, and in those first 4 weeks, Austin Ekeler was the number 1 running back in fantasy football last season. So, I hear a lot of people sometimes talking about, well, Jackson's still there, and then they drafted a rookie running back, and, Austin Ekeler's not that good of a back or a rusher, and we really don't know what we're going to get. It should be a split backfield with Justin Jackson and Austin Ekeler. And you know what, guys, I don't know where that's coming from, because we've already seen this team with Austin Ekeler as the lead back. We already saw it. We saw 4 weeks of it last year in the beginning, and that's what we're going to see this season. This is Austin Ekeler's backfield. Now, will there be some carries going elsewhere? Yeah, by the end of the year, we kind of expect probably a 70-30 to an 80-20 split with another back. But there's nothing to tell us that Austin Ekeler's not going to be the lead running back for the Chargers this season. And, based off the numbers of what he put up last year, there's no reason why he shouldn't be drafted as if he is the lead back for that thing, and he can put up the same numbers as he did last year, all right? So, a little bit into that, Melvin Gordon last year when he returned in week 5, based off the stats, it really was kind of a 50-50 split with Melvin Gordon and Austin Ekeler for throughout the rest of the year. Now, Melvin Gordon got most of the carries out of that backfield, but Austin Ekeler saw most of the receptions. So this year, I don't think they're going to bring in another running back and just do all the carries like they did with Melvin Gordon, because the first 4 weeks, the carries were going to Austin Ekeler. So they'll still move over, but Austin Ekeler should see a tick in carries this season. He should average over 10 carries a game this year, if not being that 10 to 15 carries per game this season. All right. He received an average of 14 carries a game before Melvin Gordon was gone last year. So that's, like I just said, that's where we see him going this year, and those carries should be there. They bolstered up that offensive line this season in the off season. And so there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to produce numbers at running back. And especially with the quarterback situation in LA, I think that they're going to rely a little bit more on the run game this year. And hopefully without Phillip Rivers, they can have less turnovers. All right, so let's look at this. The Chargers had over 300 rushing attempts last season. All right, that's more on the higher side of most teams in the NFL. So the Chargers do like to run the ball. All right, so let's not forget that. But they also like to use receptions, which if you're in half PPR, that's definitely a positive, all right? There was 130 receptions, 2 running backs last season. Most of them were split between Melvin Gordon and Austin Ekeler. And Austin Ekeler actually carried most of those received receptions, all right? Yeah, he had 92 receptions for 993 yards last year and 8 touchdowns. So, we don't see... right now, I think the biggest worry is with Tyrod Taylor being quarterback. And, with that happening, let's take a second and let's look at Tyrod Taylor, because I think that's what a lot of people are worried about with Austin Ekeler or with Herbert coming in. Now, we're not worried about Herbert because a rookie quarterback usually in their first season doesn't have a problem dumping the ball off, especially when they're under pressure, to running backs from the outside. So that definitely helps Austin Ekeler to return to his stats last season. But let's say Tyrod Taylor starts the first half of the year. Let's look into those stats of what he was able to put up with LaShawn McCoy back when they played in Buffalo, all right? All right, the Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy. Now let's not forget though, looking at these numbers, Buffalo does not always dump it off to the running back as much as the Chargers like to do in their offense. So this is definitely more of a lead back with an I formation type offense, and that's what these stats are going to look off of. But even in that system, Tyrod Taylor gave off 67 or averaged 67 receptions to running backs in 2016 and 2017. Austin Ekeler received 92 last season. All right, so there's about a almost a 25 reception difference here. But from what we think, Austin Ekeler should be the lead back and he should carry the ball more. So his uptick in rushing in any loss that Austin Ekeler has this season in receptions from Phillip Rivers to Tyrod Taylor, he should see that pan out on the rushing side of the ball, and it should almost zero each other out. All right, so Tyrod Taylor averaged 67. That's enough for Austin Ekeler. And, let's not forget, Tyrod Taylor, it's been 2 or 3 seasons since we've seen him start. And even when he did start, he's a mobile quarterback in the pocket, but he's not a rushing quarterback. And that's usually where you see the receptions go down to running backs, is when that quarterback instead likes to tuck it himself and go for the first down. That's not really Tyrod Taylor's game. He's kind of more like Russell Wilson, where he'll get out of the pocket and he'll move around in the backfield, but he still can dump it off to the running backs and to receivers down the field instead of just rushing it himself. And especially being 3 years older than he was then, we see him being a lot smarter and cautious with the ball. All right. So in our opinion, we don't see the Tyrod Taylor thing being any issue to Austin Ekeler's stats. LA, for some reason the Chargers, they find a way to use their running backs to score touchdowns. That's why Melvin Gordon was so high in fantasy football for so many years, because Melvin Gordon really isn't that good of a rusher since he's been in the league. He only averaged about 3.9 yards per carry, which is actually on the low side, being in the threes for an NFL running back, especially one that was, wanting over $10 million a year on a contract. So, it's a system for running backs that works, and this system scores touchdowns to their running backs, and that's definitely something we want to be part of in fantasy football. So, hey, that's what we got, on Austin Ekeler this season. We're pretty high on him, as far as where he's going. We would love to be able to get him in the second round, and you should be targeting him too. His receptions out of the backfield were second to Christian McCaffrey last season, and this year, he might see a little downtick in receptions, but we see him being the lead back in that backfield, and he should be able to take anything that he loses out of the receptions and be able to get that as the lead rusher. It's definitely a touchdown heavy position for the Chargers, and right now we see him ending up, by the end of the season, as long as he can stay the lead back and stay healthy, he should finish somewhere in that top 10 to 12 running back again. If not, break into that top 6 like he did last year and remain where he was. So definitely go out, draft Austin Ekeler as that RB1 if you take a receiver, or stack him with another running back after the first round, and get the most you can out of Austin Ekeler. But hey, that's it today for the Duke, and we'll catch you later.